Alright guys, what's up? This is Steve here with another CG Geek Blender tutorial. Today, we are doing the long-awaited building tutorial. The one that I end up destroying, actually, in the end. But, yeah, I made this video last week about destroying a building in Blender. And I got an awesome response from you guys. Everyone seemed to love it. So I'm going to be doing a tutorial on it. And it's going to be two parts. Part one will be the construction of the building, the materials, and the rendering. Part two will be the destruction and the simulations and whatnot. So with part one, we will be doing the modeling. So let's just jump into that and start. I won't need my default cube, so I'm going to delete that and switch to Cycles Render right away. Delete this lamp as well. Now, I'm going to be building kind of an apartment kind of glass building. So as you may have guessed, I'll be using a lot of array modifiers and maybe even some mirror modifiers and doing a lot of repeating to make it easy on us. But I'm also going to be careful to make my mesh destructible so it will destroy nicely and into a lot of pieces. So without further ado, I think I'm going to add Shift A and add in a plane. Now, I'm going to kind of grab this away from the center point because I'll be putting my building in the center. And I'm just going to work on an outer wall right now. So I'm going to rotate this 90 along the x-axis. I'm in front view right now with button 1. And I'm going to start off with making kind of some like I-beams, you know, kind of some strong I-beams that would be the main support. So let me tab into edit mode, scale this in along the x-axis. That would be good. Pull it out here. Now go into top view. Whoop. Let's go over here. I'm just moving my scene around with middle mouse button and shift. And let's extrude. Hit E to extrude. Pull this out a bit. Hit E to extrude. Pull it out some more. Scale it up a little bit. We kind of go for that E to extrude. Pull it out again. Like the kind of a railroad tie kind of beam. So something like that. Maybe keep it more squared off. Would be good. Maybe pull this up a little bit. Oops. If you want to be able to select the selection behind that you cannot see, you choose this button. And now I can select the vertices that are behind, so I can select all of them. Yeah, let's move that down a little bit. And, oh, made a mistake. Alright, and side view now. Let's just level that up. I was scaling that up and not looking at the side view. I'm just going to scale along the z-axis to 0. On both these. Scale on the Z, 0. Alright, so that's a pretty good I-beam. Maybe a little bit skinny. Let's scale it along the X a little bit. Make it a little bit bigger. That would be good. Very good. Let me pull this in a little bit. Just getting a little picky now, but alright. Okay. Now let's add a mirror modifier to this. So add modifier, mirror. So now we have it on both sides. And that's pretty good. Maybe I'll just pull this out all a little bit. Pull it out a little bit. And maybe scale this up a little bit on the X. Just make it all a little bit bigger, beefier. Okay, this is basically like a window that I'm modeling here. So, actually, let me just scale all this up along the Z a little bit. Alright, now let's kind of frame out our window a little bit. I'm going to have some like metal sheets coming across the bottom here. Underneath the planes. So tab in edit mode again, and we can basically just shift D, like these two back vertices here. Alright, back in front view, shift D, rotate them 90 degrees, drag them up, scale them up, like so, and then extrude and pull it across till we meet in the center. Let me choose clipping on my mirror modifier, and now they'll connect when I go to the center. Alright. So that is good. Let me just hit L to select that whole loose part there. Extrude and give it some thickness. Something like that would be okay. And let's move that to the top as well. So hit L, Shift D, and pull it up to the top. Very good. Now I want to make sure that all my vertices are on the exact same level up here. So it will duplicate nicely with the array modifier. So I'm just going to select them all, scale on the Z, 0. And do that in the bottom as well. Scale on the Z, 0. Whoops. Mess that up. B, select the bottom, scale along the Z, 0. Oh, right. So that's looking fairly decent. Let me think. Right now, if I duplicate this with an array modifier, I'll show you, I would have the two I-beams right next to each other. That is something I don't want. So maybe what I'll do is delete that array modifier now, and go with just, well, maybe okay, here's what I'm going to do. Tab into edit mode, Control R, put a cut in the center of your I-beam, and we can just delete this half of it. So B, select it, X, delete vertices. Now you can see we have just a half an I-beam, but when we add in an array modifier, they'll connect nicely. So that's what we do for that. And let's work on the window frame a little bit here. So just a little basic crisscross in the center is what I'm going to do. So L to grab that loose part, Shift D, pull it up to the middle, and let's scale it down along the Z-axis to be more narrow, and then scale along the Y-axis to make it more thin. Very good. We can kind of pull that back a little bit so it's along this edge here where we'll be putting our glass. That's good. Now same thing for the up and down, although I'll need to turn off clipping. Now Shift D, rotate 90 degrees, pull it over here to the center. Let's turn on clipping now, and we can just clip them together in the center there and scale them along the Z-axis till we get something like that. Very good. So that's not looking too bad. And last but not least is our window pane, which I want to be a loose part as well. So what I'm going to do for that is, well, actually that might just be applied after my mirror modifier, so it's not two pieces. Well, I guess it can be two pieces. Let's just do that right now. Select these two vertices, or just this edge. Select that edge there, and Shift D it. If we go into wireframe, you can see it better maybe. Extrude it, and pull it down to the bottom here. Now we have a nice window back there. If I go to face select mode, I can select just that window. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. And let's give that window a little bit of thickness as well. So hit extrude and pull it back a little bit. There we go. So that's pretty good for our window pane situation. I think that will work well. So now maybe I'll start turning up the array modifier. Just let's go maybe 9 across on bottom, 10 across on bottom, and yeah, let's make it an odd number. I think it would work a little better. We'll go 11. Center that right there, and add another array modifier. This one will be not along the x-axis, but along the z-axis, or this one, the y-axis, I guess. Okay, and there we go. Let me check that over real quick. It looks like it's working okay, although my bottom piece here and on top too. Let me go face select. Select those, select these, and let's, oh, no, not those. Select these and scale them along the Z, so it makes them a little bit thinner, so when they're duplicated, they're not as fat. And that looks a little better. Alright. So, yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So, let's turn this up a bit. This is the fun part where you can just sit back and create your building nice and large. Now let's tab into edit mode and recalculate the normals real quick here. Under shading UVs, recalculate. You can see we get a little bit of different shading now. That's more what's appropriate. There we go. Hit 5 to go into orthographic view, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. So let's kind of finish up with the array modifier here. Just go front view, and I think I'll go 20 high. That might be good. I think I went a little higher in my video, but we don't have to go quite so high. Maybe 22. Alright, and that will be good for the inside. Now I need to kind of create a second array modifier for the edges here. So what I'm going to do is, let me just grab like one of these edges like that, and Shift D it, pull it over here, and now we're going to go P, separate by selection. So now if I tab out edit mode, I can select this object and edit it separately from that. Now this one has all the modifiers still applied to it, and I don't want that, so I'm just going to delete all the modifiers off of it. And we need to create a little bit of a nice edge going here. So let me tab into edit mode, select it, and let's extrude it this ways across, and pull this one in a little bit. Just kind of create a edging here. I kind of have a reference photo that I'm basing this off of here as well. Kind of pull it back to here then, and let me see. Okay, maybe pull the whole thing back just a tad there so it's behind that I-beam. All right, and it's a little bit small right now. I'm a little zoomed in, so let me box select that all and pull it out some more. Okay, and one more. Let's pull it out. Let me go to vertices here, make it a little simpler. Pull it out here. All right, so this is gonna have its own kind of window on it, maybe like it's an elevator or something along the side of the building with some different shaped windows. So what I'm gonna do is select the inside face there and then go I to inset, and you kind of drag that out so I get kind of a long, narrow window, and I'm going to pull this over a little bit too, and maybe scale it a little bit more. There, that's not bad. This whole thing can probably be scaled up along the Z-axis a little bit too, and maybe just all axes a little bit. Gotta position that back in there nicely. Pull it back. Alright, now with this selected, I'm going to extrude, pull it back a little bit to give it that depth, and then go P, separate by selection. Nope, Command Z, not that. Hit Y to make it its own piece. And that is what I do want. Oops, I already hit P. Let me just delete that. Alright, now I should have, yes, just my loose piece here for the window. And I'll extrude that to give it a little bit of thickness as well. Alright, that looks pretty nice. Maybe a little bit too narrow though. I might just drag this out a little bit more. Yeah. Alright, now we have this kind of edge here, which we don't really need a window there. But, yeah, we don't really need a window there, so we'll just leave it at that. And pull it out a little bit more, give it a little bit more distance there. And maybe actually, let's go Control R, or no, not that. Let's select these two vertices, pull it in. Let's go to top view, extrude, give this a little bit of a dimensional look here. So it's not quite so squared off. Extrude it up, out, and in. Something like that. Yeah, so now you got that little lip there, and that looks kind of cool. Alright, so now this one can also be arrayed along the Y-axis here, I believe. Is it the Y? Yeah, Y-axis here. So we'll just turn that to 1, and then turn the count up as many as we need. Whoops, leaving this at 1. And there we go. All the way up to the top. And just to kind of finish that up, I just scaled it down a little bit. There we go. Alright, so we got that on one side, and it's not perfect, but what I can do now is, let me just move my camera out of here a little bit. What I can do now is box select both these and hit Alt D. You might be used to hitting Shift D, but if you hit Alt D, it will copy, or it will basically link the material geometry. So every time you change the geometry of the mesh in edit mode, it will change it on all of the different objects that you duplicated if you use Alt D. So I'm going to use Alt D, duplicate it, and pull it over here. Rotate 90 along the Z axis, and kind of just line this up over here. So we got something like that. And if I go out of wireframe, we got that. And that doesn't look too bad. It will definitely work okay. and Z, and then hit 5 to go into orthographic. And you can see that's not looking bad. You know, you can always change it some more if you want, but I'm pretty happy with that. So now let me just duplicate all of these with Alt-D one more time. Rotate 90 degrees, rotate 90 degrees again. Oops. Let me just rotate 180 degrees. There we go. And kind of piece this in up here. Just like so. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, now I might also need to recalculate the normals on this edge piece here, so let me just recalculate. There we go. Now it's all nice and shaded properly. So let me kind of position my camera, and I might start the materials. I also have a top to put on, and I also did some interior work that made it look a lot better when I exploded it. But let me quick position my camera to kind of get a feel for the materials. Grab along the Z axis. I'm just dragging up and down, and we'll find something that looks fairly decent. I need to turn the clipping distance down, like 400, and change the focal length to be more like a wide angle, so 24 or something. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. I think I might want to make it all a little bit taller. So I'll make it 26 high. There we go. And then I need to change these to be something like bink. There. Scale it up a little bit. And you see I have to do that to all of them. So let me just quick do that. 22, make it 26. Alright, you know what? As well, let's go 28. Why not? Why not? So just change them all to 28. This might be something that you want to do before you duplicate them all in the future, but it's fine. Let me just go there. That actually matches up pretty well. 23 of those. Let me see, right here. Oh, no, not that one. This one. 23. Oh, that is a little bit off though, isn't it? That's because I scaled that one already though. There we go. And this one, 23 as well. Very good. Oh, this one we didn't change to 28. And then 23 for you as well. So now you can see it looks a little bit more massive, and that's good. So I still have the top to do, which is pretty basic. Let me just do that right now. Select this, scale it down a little bit. Select this, that's pretty good. Select that one, scale it down a little bit. Just kind of evening out the top here, scale it up a little bit. Scale it down, scale it up. This is something that you don't really notice from the camera view I used, so it's not that important. But alright, so what I did on top was basically just kind of a metal framing. I'm going to kind of steal some of the, let me see, where is my tablet edit mode? There we go. Which one am I selecting? Oh, it's down here, duh. Let me kind of grab my I-beam here. Where are you? There we go. And Shift D, and then P, separate by selection. So if I tab out edit mode, I have this loose obstacle here. Has all these modifiers on it. I'm just going to delete the modifiers. Alright. And let's bring this to the top of our building. Up here would be good. Okay, so this I'll add the X modifier on. Something like that. And turn the number up. Well, I also want the mirror modifier too. So let me add that one in too. First, move to top. Alright, so this can go back to 1. But I want to make this I-beam a little bit beefier. So I'm going to select it and scale it along the X-axis a little bit. And let me go top view, go out of wireframe view, and let me scale it out along the X and the Y. Yes, so this is going to be kind of the top frame, which will stick out a little bit more. And kind of like the look I got by doing that. Yeah, something like that. Now, it needs to be repositioned a little bit because it's bigger. So we might have to turn, let me go all the way across. Yeah, we got to turn down the amount of, oops. Got to, let me move this way. Turn down the distance that this is traveling. Okay, why is that? Let me see. Just turn it down a bit. Okay, yeah, that's working. Just gotta go a lot, like a 0.98 or 0.7, just to get that to line up on each one of these I-beams pretty nicely. Okay, that's pretty good. And then some metal framing goes behind it. So this can just be, let me just grab this Y to separate it so it's its own piece, and extrude it across. Boom. Let's turn clipping on, do it again, pull it across. L, select it, extrude, give it some thickness. There we go. Very good. Alright. And then at the very top, what I did was, let me grab this. Just option click. I want to just grab the top of this. I can just use face mode. This one, and this one. Front view. And this is just going to come up a little bit higher than the metal frame. And then, let me see, is that good? Yep, that's pretty good. And then make sure it one more time. And I want this to pull out all together here. So now I'll just use this face here. This will extrude across and connect up there. That might be a little bit low. Let me box select it all, lift it up a little bit higher. Very good, that's what I want. And do it one more time, just move it up a little bit. And then back here, I want some braces coming across. So these will come out like that. And I don't even have to finish these because you won't see them. I'm just going to do it like that. And, okay, that's pretty good. I also want to do a few beams diagonally here. So I'm just going to B, select that whole beam, Shift D, rotate like that much. And let me just kind of position this so they're touching. This isn't something you'll see from the bottom, just a little bit, so I don't have to worry about like finishing that there. Because if I look at it from this angle, it just looks like that, and it looks awesome. So that's all I need. Maybe I'll just lift it up a little bit more. Okay, maybe this whole thing can be pulled out a little bit more, just so we see a little bit more of it down here. Yeah, there we go. So that is that. Let me Shift D it, or Command C. I did Shift D and I want Alt D. Alt D, rotate it -90 degrees, and park one over here. I can see that that doesn't really match up that well, but like I said, you really won't see it too much, and it just looks okay. So, yeah, that could be cleaned up a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it, because that looks pretty good. So let's get into the materials now. So for the materials, it's going to be pretty simple. The most important thing is to get some nice reflections going in the building. So before I start adding materials in, I want to add in an HDR image that I'm using. This one is just off of, I can't remember the name, HDR Lab I think it is. I'll include a link in the description. But I'm just going to go to my world settings here and choose environment texture. Open it up, and let me just grab it right here. It's actually a stadium, and I like the sky a lot in it, but the ground is all kind of green, so it's actually not that great for a city look. The ground in it. So what I basically do is add a black plane along the ground to give me some non-green reflections later on. So I'm going to go to the node editor, select world on the bottom here, and you can see I have my texture connected to my background, connected to my world output here. What I'm going to do is add in a texture coordinates and a vector mapping node. Whoa, cursor going crazy. Alright, I'm going to connect generated to the vector and then the vector to the vector. Now I can kind of rotate around the sky here. I'm going to rotate along the Z here, and I kind of want to get the sun over on that side right there. That's good. And then I'm also going to move this way, pull it down all a little bit so I get a little bit more sky in there. And then you can also see I have the stadium, so I can kind of rotate this out of the frame with the Y and X. So kind of rotate that up a little bit. Alright, that's pretty good. I got this pull in it, but that will probably be covered up by a a building that I'll duplicate and stick over there. But you can also might be able to rotate it out if you kind of do that. But that is pretty good. Maybe I'll rotate it that way a little bit. There we go. Alright, that looks nice. And let's work on the building materials now. So, I shouldn't have closed that. Open this back up. Node editor. And close that with N. Okay, so I'll start with the... Let's just do the glass first. It's all fun. What am I saying? But right here, let me go front view. I'm going to use 2 materials on this. So let me just make 2 right off the bat. And 1 more. This second one will be the glass. And I'm just going to make it a viewport color of a little bit blue, so it will stand out a little bit better, and you can see the difference. So now I need to try and select my glass. There we go. Once you get it, you can just hit L. Or no, it might be easier just to hide this in front here, and now I can get it. Hit L and get it, and click Assign to the glass material. There you go. You can Option H to unhide your mesh there. We have the glass applied there. Now, this material is not going to be a diffuse material. Let me just delete that. It's going to be a glass material, as you may have guessed. And also, I'm going to use a little bit of a transparent shader and a little bit of a glossy, I believe. Well, let's just start with the transparent, and we'll add the glossy if we feel it necessary. So I'm just going to make it like a 0.2 transparent, leave it at the 1.45 glossiness, and maybe just give it a tad bit of roughness. In my video, I actually connected a scratch texture up to roughness. The roughness basically will determine how reflective, how soft of the reflections on the glass are. If it's at 0, they'll be perfectly reflective, and if it's up, it will be quite a blurry reflection. So that is what the roughness does. But with that selected, go to my camera view. You can see I pretty much can see right through my whole mesh, and that looks a little bit weird. But it looks like it's working for the most part. So if I give it a little bit more roughness, you get some more blurred reflections, which is good. So maybe I'll go a little bit higher, something like that. Now I should also add in my sun lamp before I go too far. So I'm going to over here, go Shift A, add in a lamp, sun. Double tap R, rotate it kind of at this angle here, and from front view, it looks pretty good. You know, something I'm realizing is my whole building here looks a little bit big, so I'm just going to scale that down. If I go Shift S, cursor to center, and then put my pivot point as the cursor, I can do this with period, and you can see it down here. It's now the cursor. I can just scale it down along the cursor and make it smaller like that. So it should really be more like that size, at least. So I can bring my camera up a little bit too. And if I go to camera view, you can see I need to reposition it a little bit closer. My scene just got a little bit massive there, and it doesn't need to be that big. So I want to turn this back to medium point now, and just kind of position it like so. Alright, and maybe make it a little bit less zoomed in, give it a 30. And the camera preset, I like to give it the Canon look, because that is the camera I own, and so I always like to kind of use the Canon sensor. There we go. So let's work on the second material now. This one is going to be a glossy. Well, actually, let me bring that back. Put in a diffuse and a glossy. And it's going to be mostly glossy though. So Shift A, add a mix shader, plug the glossy in the bottom and the diffuse in the top. And we'll leave it at a 50-50 for now. Let's make the roughness more of a 0.1. And let's give the main color more of a grayish, slightly bluish look. Something like that. Kind of a metal look, but I don't want a purple look, so something like that looks pretty good. And let's see what that looks like rendered. It looks very green. That's just because I haven't applied materials to these yet. But the beam here looks a little bit too glossy, I'd say. but might be a little glossy still. Maybe make the roughness a little higher, something like that. And let's add the same materials to these over here. So tab into edit mode, gotta go to the bottom here. L to select the center glass, and we'll give a new material, choose our glass right there, and assign it to that centerpiece. If I go Control I, it will select everything else, and I can open up another material here. Which ones are glossy? I think material 0 is? No, not material 0. Material 1 is our glossy, and assign that. Alright, so now if I go rendered, you can see that that's textured as well. And it's not bad, but it looks a little bit too dark, maybe. Maybe brighten that up, make it a little bit more blue. Brighten it up a little bit. Alright, and there we go. It's not that bad. Okay. Pretty good. Alright, so same thing can be done with these up here. Just give these the glossy material. Should really name that material, but whatever. So now if we go rendered, those have it up there as well. So we're getting there. We're getting there. It's still a very bright building, and the main is because there's nothing inside of it. So what I did in my video is to give it a lot more destruction look to it. I added in a bunch of kind of like a apartment kind of complex where there's like a lot of, I want more of an office look, where there's a lot of like desks and computers and stuff like that, which could be a little time consuming, but I'm just gonna kind of do a quick version of it, so it doesn't have to be that detailed. Let me select all this, raise it up a little bit, and it doesn't have to be that detailed because you really don't see much of what is inside of there, but as long as there's something there, it looks better. So first I'm going to add in a floor plane here for better reflections. So kind of scale it up nice and big and give it just a blackish, darkish looking material, maybe like a road would look like. So there will be a little bit better. I see less green in there. So let's add in the inside of this building. Alright, so for the inside buildings, I'm going to close that off for now. What I'm going to do is, it's actually pretty fun. We kind of get to work on a miniature scale. We don't have to be real picky about it. Let me quick first, I think these I-beams look a little bit small. Let me maybe box select this one. Okay, yep, scale along the X a little bit. Make it a little bit beefier. Scale on the Y just a little bit too. They look good when they're nice and big, and you get that kind of look on it. So that looks better. Alright. Alright, so yeah, for the inside of this building, I'm just gonna go to top view, kinda choose a point in the center, Shift A, add in a plane, and scale it up to be about centered in this building. So make sure it's not sticking out of the building, just get it up nice and close. Like that, and it's on the floor here, which is good. Pull it up there. Alright, now I also want to know where the top of the window is, so I know like what each apartment might be. You know what, these dividing pieces are a little bit narrow here too, come to think of it. Let me make these both a little bit bigger. Select that one, scale along the Z. Whoops. Let me just select this face. Alright, so I'm just going to select this front face, top face here, and then this bottom face here, boom, and scale those down along the Z, so that'll make it nice and fat. To be more realistic, it probably should be something like that. Alright, so these apartments have to be about a window's width or height apart. So what I want to do is kind of use this building for reference, tab into edit mode on the bottom plane, which will be our floor, and extrude it along the Z a little bit. Give it some floor thickness. Alright, it's kind of hard to see with that building there, but you can see it has thickness. So that is good. And front view, let me Shift A, add in a basic cube, and scale it down. And scale it along the Z, up to, alright, scale along the Z. This is kind of gonna be the divider between like the different what do you call it, workspaces or something in this apartment complex thing that I'm building. So scale down along the Y or X and scale along the Y. Nice and good. Something like that will be good. And that's good. So I got this like that, and that'll be good. So I can hide my mesh now here. Let me hide all these walls off. So this is box selected all with B and hit H to hide it. So this will be easy to work with now. Very good. So let me get, oh, those are fine. So tab into edit mode and drag this over here. And let's add in a little bit of details. So what kind of details are we going to add? Well, let's first do a little desk. So I'm just going to shift D this face here to work with. Scale it down. Something like that. Rotate it 90 degrees along the X or Y axis. So we kind of have that. And scale along the Y. Scale it up. And this will be our main desk that will just make a whole bunch of these desks with a little computer on them and a little stool next to it. I think would be good. So something like that. Now I'm just going to extrude it down a little bit, give it some thickness, and then pull it down a little more. Then maybe Control R, do that twice. Scale those now along the X or Y. If you weren't sure how I did those edge loops, I just used the scroll wheel to make multiple cuts. Now scale them along the Y, pull them out, something like that. Face select, grab these two bottom faces and extrude them down to the ground. Down to the ground. Very good. So there's a cute little desk there. Might be a little big, but we can always change that with grabbing these faces and pulling them down. These edge ones too. There we go, and pull it down a little bit. All right, now let's add. Well, let's add a little computer on it. Oh, I need to grab these two faces too. There we go. So I'm just going to duplicate this face here. Whoops, Shift D. Scale it way down. And this will kind of be the base to our computer. Very simple computer. Not like the ones we have nowadays. Maybe move it over here. Extrude it along the Z. Scale it along the Y. Extrude it up. Kind of a flat screen monitor. Scale it along the Y here. Like that. And extrude it along the Z axis. Widescreen monitor. There we go. So basic little computer there. That's cute and cool. So and then one last thing, I want to add a little cute desk in front here. So maybe I'll just Shift A, add a circle. Turn the vertex count way down over here. Make it just like 8. Scale it down. Scale. Why is that scale? Go to vertices. There we go. Scale it down. Something like that. Maybe going to Z would help. Oh, I need to drag this face down a little bit. Get that in the floor. Very good. Okay, so grab these, extrude them up, something like that. I think I made those too small. Let me scale them all up a little bit. Alright. Kind of like the wheels on the bottom of a chair. Extrude it, scale it down, and then extrude it up, and extrude again, and scale again. A little bit repetitive here. Scale it up like that, and there's a little desk. But I'm going to go face to make a face out of that. And, well, here, not a face. Why don't I go extrude and then scale. Then, okay, yeah, something like that. And then extrude one more time, scale, then Alt M, and merge them all at center. Very good. If you're ever confused at what keys I'm pressing, I have the screencast keys over here, and they're showing you everything right there. If you didn't notice that, there you go. And now I'm just going to select like these two back faces here and extrude up. Maybe scale them a little bit. Extrude up. Scale them out a little bit. Extrude up. And scale them down a little bit. So we kind of got that nice backrest on the chair there. Very cute. So let's add a few materials to this real quick. This one will be the chair and the computer will have just a basic. I'm going to add 2 materials. Chair and the material, and the computer will have just a basic black material or darker. Maybe I can make it a little bit shiny. Here, let me split my window here. Go to the node editor. Maybe make it a little bit shiny. or just the computer at least. Shift add a mix shader, shift add a glossy shader, and connect it up like so. And let's just give it a 0.1 of the glossiness. There we go. And we'll assign this to both those. Boom. So if we go rendered, we got those. Very good. Now the desk, maybe be a browner color. I don't know what kind of desk it'll be, but we'll make this one more of a wood looking color. So I lied, 3 materials. Make kind of an orangey, darker brown. We're not going to bother texturing it because it's so small that you don't really notice it even. Maybe make the viewport color match that too. So just do that and that. There we go. And the monitor too needs to be the black material. We should make the viewport of this a darker color as well. Very good. And as for this wall, let me just select that. This one will be the top material. This one will be kind of just a lighter grayish bluish, maybe semi-transparent material. So shift add a mix shader, kind of like a glass wall maybe between things. I don't know. Just getting creative here. And transparent shader. Plug that in there. Make it 50% transparent, and then maybe add a little bit of glossy to it too. So duplicate my mix shader, stick a glossy shader in there, and plug that in. Let's just see what that looks like. That's not bad. Maybe a little bit too reflective or transparent. So make that a little less transparent. Maybe make this material a little bit brighter looking too. Doesn't have to be so dark. Alright, that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is, before I duplicate these a whole bunch, one thing you got to keep in mind is, this chair's a little bit small. I get sidetracked easy. One thing you got to keep in mind is that when I destroy this, I'm going to be using the explode modifier, which means that it's going to basically rip apart my mesh in all the individual faces. So if these faces are too big, it will not look too great. So what I gotta do is add in a few cuts in this mesh, and to make it look even better, what you can do is kind of grab some of these faces and make them so they're not perfect squares, you know, like kind of triangular longish shapes, so it looks better when it breaks. So I'm gonna do that, and I want to do the same thing on my wall back here. So put a few cuts in there and maybe cut this ways. Very good. This is something I'm going to be doing on the building as well. And just kind of move these faces around, edges around, to make it so it's not all an even cut. You don't want to move them anywhere but side to side, or it will change the shape of them here. So make sure that you don't do that. But just kind of do some things like this. Gives it, maybe you can use the vertices select as well. Go front, and just kind of move these inside faces around nice and random to give it some nice shattering look. Okay. That's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Now I have a one desk here and one wall. So I'm going to tab into edit mode, B, box select all of those, and here's what I'm going to do. Let me box select you, and let me take this apartment desk here, shift D it, rotate it 180 degrees. Whoops. Okay, yeah. Do that again. Rotate 180 degrees. And put it over here. Alright, so we got like 2 of them there. Now what I can do is box select all of them, go shift D, grab along the X or Y axis. Whoops. Let me see. Command Z that. Alt D. Alright, why aren't I getting these moving? What's going on here? Alright, let me see. Top view, shift D. Okay, grab along the X. Oh no, I can't do that. So I'm just going to go shift D and pull them right around over here. Drop them off right about there. Now, what is it? If I go shift R, I can repeat that same thing over and over again. So I'm just going to do that a few times. Very good. I can select all this again now and kind of center it on there. Alright, so that worked out pretty well. Oh, I guess not. I messed up here. I didn't have these bottom vertices selected when I did that. So shift R, whoops. Okay, let me try that one more time. Box select it all, shift D, drop it off right about there, and shift R. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Now I didn't select the bottom vertices when I selected it all, so there we go. Okay, that's good. Very good. Now what I want to do is, with this floor and apartment complex selected, we're going to add in an array modifier along the y-axis. Turn this one off. There we go. Now I need to unhide my mesh, so Option H to unhide it, to kind of see how many times I need to duplicate these. Let me see, is it selected? There we go, yes. Oh wait, it's not going along the right axis yet. This one. The bottom one this time. Alright. So let me kind of separate this enough till it's on that next level window. Whoops, not the count. There we go. Right about there, it looks pretty much on. You can see better though once you do a lot of them, but it's looking like it's pretty good. So this is something that you don't have to do across the whole building if you don't want to. It will render a little slower and whatnot, but it will give it a better look in the reflections. So I'm going to duplicate it 28 times. And now, if I save this and render it, you can see it's looking quite a bit better. You're seeing that it's darker inside the building and not quite so clear and open like it was before. And it's looking better. It's not perfect, but it's looking a lot better. Now, one other thing that does a lot that I haven't done yet is under the scene settings here, you have the color management. And what I decided right off the bat when I was going to make this scene is that I want it to look filmic, kind of like a Transformers movie or something like that. So what I did was I went to the color management and took the look, and not the look, but the the view, and gave it a film look. This basically just kind of adjusts your colors right off the bat for you to give it more of a filmic look. And I mean, it's a pretty cool setting. It does just some basic color correcting preset look for you, and it's pretty cool. You might want to adjust your gamma then a little bit too to brighten up the scene, but it looks pretty good. I think something I also did was brighten up my HDR here a little bit, so give that a little bit more look, and very good. So once you have this, you're pretty much set for explosion, but one thing left. I need to select my building mesh. Alright, you can't really see it. Where are we? Over here. Very good. And alright, this is my window here. I think I'm on the wrong side though. Yeah, I'm on the wrong side. So let's move over here. Okay. And I want to select my window. So let me hide all the meshes in the way, just hitting L and hide. There we go. L, select my window. Very good. W, subdivide. So I got that cut in the middle, and I'm going to grab that vertice, and from straight on view, there we go. Yeah, straight on view here. I want to move that vertice to kind of give it a shattered look. Alright, and then the other vertice as well. So you can see now when this breaks, it'll have some nice cracked looking texture, or cracks, and it'll be smaller pieces as well. Now this is something I also did on the beams here. So this is a little bit hard to see. Let me just select that now and I can hide it because I don't need that anymore. Same thing with the beams here. Put a cut there, and then it kind of drags some of these vertices up and down just along the Z axis to give it some nice breaking look when I shatter through it. Same with the center one here. This one I'll move along the X axis, so I'm not changing the geometry look from the outside, but on the inside it's different. Same up here. And maybe drag a lot of the vertices over to one side, just so one piece is smaller and one piece is bigger. I think you guys get the idea. And then the centerpiece here as well. Nothing should be a very big piece on its own. Then Option H, let me see, Option H, unhide the centerpiece, put a cut in the center, and do that as well. Very good. Alright, so you can see it looks all destroyed, but it still looks perfectly fine in viewport. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to go top view, and I'm going to duplicate this building a few times. Without the inside pieces now though, because I don't need to do that. So I'm just going to select those pieces. Yes. And Shift D, duplicate it. I'm going to put one back here, right next to it. Just back a little bit along the Y. So let me see. Yeah, something like that will look good. And I'll put some across from the camera to give it some nice reflections. This will add a lot to the reflection look. Maybe rotate this one around 180 so I have some of those frames in the reflections maybe. And then one more back here. So kind of just making a little city out of this almost. Rotate this minus 90. There we go. And it will help a lot with the reflections. And I kind of could pull these in a little bit more to get these in the corner of my video. So like something like this, and pull it in a little bit. So you get the corner of it in the frame there. Alright, that's looking a little better. Look, a little fuller of a scene. Maybe I'll duplicate these one more time to put them back there to kind of fill in that blank area there. And I'm going to render it. It will take a little bit of time now with all these buildings added. But, okay, I want to pull this in a little bit, which means I need to move this building back a little bit. Whoops. Okay. Select all that. Don't want to select my camera. Oh, got you. And just pull these back a little bit. Very good. Alright, I think I'm ready to render. So, let me set up a few render settings real quick. Samples will be about 100. And I'll do it just 1280. There we go. By 720. But hopefully this will be it, guys. And it might be the end of part 1 of my building construction video. We'll see, I guess, after this render if I'm satisfied. So, without further ado, I just saved it. Let's close off this window. And let's render. I'll be back when it finishes. Alright. Okay, so here was my result after that, and it's not terrible, but I think I could improve it a little bit before I finish up here. I'm not real happy with the reflections. I'm not getting enough clouds in them, and I think my angle on my camera could be a little bit wider maybe. So let's jump back to 26. That looks a little better, and then maybe just pull my camera back. Whoop, can't go that far, I'll hit the floor, but just something like that. Alright. Just get out of their floor, okay. And split my window, go to my node editor, and I want to adjust the clouds a little bit with my world settings. Basically, I'm just going to, let me go to a blank frame here and rendered, so it renders real fast. Basically, I'm just going to pull the location back a little bit along the Y, back a little bit along the X and Y, like -3, -3, -3 is pretty good. And I can zoom out a little bit more than too with the Z all the way back to something like that. So I get like the whole sky in the frame. Now, going back to here. My glass isn't quite as reflective as I'd like it. So I'm going to switch back to materials down here. I'm going to make it a little bit less transparent. Let's go just down to a 0.1 transparency. And maybe a little bit more roughness. A little less roughness would be good. Alright, and let me think. What else was there? Well, I think I don't need quite so many. Let me see. Where's my apartment complex? Maybe I hit it Option H. Oh, I somehow built it on the wrong layer. Alright, well, let's move this all back to layer 1. Okay. Now, I don't think I need quite so many. I think I can go every other window with a apartment building thing, and that will render faster and work a little better. So I'm going to go 14. Boom. You can see it only goes half. Oops, that was the wrong thing. Not that. Command Z. Grab my apartment. There we go. This one is just going to be 14. And I'm just going to change this to be a 2.6. Doubled the depth. Now it'll be about every other window that we get a building at, and that should be plenty for the explode modifier to look good. So let's save that. And if I go to wireframe, do I have? Yeah. These are all exploded. Let me see. Tab in edit mode. Wait a minute. Are they? I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, they're broken there. And if I grab any of these, they're all broken because we duplicated them with Alt D. So I shouldn't worry about that. And let me see. Maybe I want to pull both these buildings in a little bit. Just kind of working the composition here a little bit. That'd be good. And then maybe put these buildings back here a little bit more and separate this one a little bit from it for reflections. That would look good. And maybe fill in that corner with another building if I so desired. Might be cool. Just grab that. Okay, Shift D and put another building down here. Alright, that looks pretty good. You can always make little modifications to some of the buildings too if you want them to look a little bit different, but I'm pretty happy with this. Let me just kind of look up at the building. Let's save it. And now, well, yeah, now I think we're ready to give it one more render. Maybe I'll go a little bit more samples this time, just do a little high quality render. And let me see, performance. I'm gonna make the tile size a little bit bigger since I'm rendering with my GPU. Alright, that should be good. Save it and render. Alright, so that looks a lot better. I could use a little bit of color correcting, but that will be done in part 2. For now, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm getting a little bit of a noise issue here. This could be fixed with using the clamp option. Let me see where it is. Light pass. Get the filter glossy. I don't see. Oh, up here's a clamp, and I'm just gonna clamp it at like 6, indirect and direct, and that'll help remove some of these really bright pixels. But besides that, things are looking pretty good. It's a little bit dark down here, but like I said, I'm gonna do some color correcting. Pretty happy with that result, though. I think we're getting ready to destroy it. So I just want to quick see if I can't make this plane a little bit brighter. Might make it look a little bit better. There we go. Just kind of a brighter gray. And one other thing I didn't set up was select my camera and set a focus length. So we're going to be using mist and a focus length. I won't be adding the mist till next part, but I'll just set it up for now. And the distance of my focal length will be up here. So something like that. Change the aperture type to f-stop and give it like a 1 or something. You know, not too crazy. 1.2. You don't want it to be too shallow depth of field because that will look a little bit fake. And miniature scale maybe, but something like that would be good. We can leave these as they are. Now to quick set up the mist, I'm going to go to my render layers, turn on mist, whoops, just mist, and then world settings, mist pass, and I can adjust the start end. It should start at about 15 and then end at about 35. I think you can see that this yellow bar here, if we go to Z, is where the mist will start and then where the mist will end. So maybe you can go all the way up to 40. But that won't really be added in this tutorial. If I go rendered now, you should see the shallow depth. I don't want to do it right now though. But that's it, guys. There is our city building complex, and all ready for destruction, destroying it in the next episode. Or not episode, I should say part. This isn't really an episode. But alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this first part, and looking forward to part 2. I'm going to turn that to 15 so I get that all the way up to the top there too. That just looks a little better in the reflections and such. So that is it, guys. Like I said, I hope you enjoy this part, and looking forward to part 2 where we get to destroy our building. And yeah, I'll see you in part 2, so hang tight and I'll see you then. Bye bye.